Okay, so those of you who grew up in the South of the United States, the Southeast, or the Northeast, and maybe even some other parts of the country and the world, these are the areas that I know for sure. We have a very similar legend. And I'm going to tell you about this legend. And you can tell me in the comment section if you've heard of this legend or if you have one that's similar. Because I heard that different cultures have similar legends. Okay? But first, let me tell you today's introduction. Hey guys, I'm Queen Offset Heru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and pass it on to anybody and everybody that might like it too. Also, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to read out a few of my favorite positive comments and respond. So hang around. If you would also like to get a reading done, please email me. And also underneath this video is my email address and every other way to contact me, my Patreon, my PayPal, everything is underneath this video. Okay? So back to legends. This is the legend of the Boogeyman. So many of you probably heard of the Boogeyman or the Boogeyman, depending upon the pronunciation. My family is from Philadelphia, but my mother spent most of her life, and her siblings, a couple of them too, spent most of their life in the South, in Atlanta. She said this is a story that she learned as a girl in the South, and then she brought it up. Her mother, I think her mother brought it up and told her other siblings. And I was told this story, and other kids in my neighborhood had similar stories as well. So the Boogeyman is basically kind of like last week when I told you guys about La Llorona. Ooh, still can't say it right. I told you guys that legend that came from Mexico. But there are other legends about similar beings. And what these beings all have in common is they will take naughty children. So a lot of elders, which I think is kind of cruel, actually. I think it's kind of funny on one hand. I think it's kind of cruel on another, that you got these poor kids scared of these legends, to try to make them behave. But we do the same thing with Santa Claus. If you're not a good kid, Santa Claus won't bring you anything. And I think it's probably harmless, to a certain extent. I think it depends on how scared the child is. I was scared of the Boogeyman. When she first told me this story, I was like 3 years old. I was very scared of the Boogeyman, and I was scared of the Boogeyman for a long time. Until other kids started teasing me, or we started talking on the playground or teasing on the playground, because we were always teasing each other about the Boogeyman. But anyway, so the Boogeyman basically has no form. Like if you say, what does the Boogeyman look like? My mother said the Boogeyman has no form. The Boogeyman can be shadows. The Boogeyman can take the form of any beast, like a werewolf or a vampire or a ghost. The Boogeyman basically can come in any form that she wants to. But generally, it's a terrifying form, or just darkness and no form at all. And what my mother told me was that this being basically comes out at night. So you have to worry about the Boogeyman during the day, only at night. The Boogeyman would come out at night, and naughty children, he would eat. It depends on who told the story. My mom said that naughty children, he would beat them. That was her thing. But some people told me that he would eat the naughty children. He would dismember. I've heard all kinds of, people say their parent told them a different version of what the Boogeyman would do. So he would either spank you or, eat you or kidnap you. It was all kind of awful stories. A lot of kidnappings. I did hear a lot of people say kidnapping, like the Boogeyman will take you away, because you've been so bad, And my mom told me that story. It would get dark, y'all. And I already had I have two things going against me. I have a vivid imagination, and I've always been psychically sensitive. So those two things together aren't always great. Now as an adult, I can tell the difference between, am I tripping or am I really experiencing something? But as a little kid, I couldn't. So everything was scary to me. Everything was frightening to me. So when she told me this story about the boogeyman, every time I was bad or thought I was bad or I got in trouble for something or I was on punishment, when nighttime came, I was under my covers like, oh, the boogeyman might come. I remember being afraid to go to the bathroom. I was like 6, and I was afraid to go to the bathroom because I had gotten in trouble, and I kept thinking, I don't know what was going through my head, or if I was experiencing something, or if I was imagining something, but I was afraid to step out of the bed because I swore something was under the bed. I thought the boogeyman was under the bed. I don't know where I got this from, but that's what I thought. And I laid in bed, and I was so terrified to go to the bathroom that I didn't go and ended up going on myself. And my mom was so mad at me. And it was like, what is wrong with you? You're potty trained. You know, I was an early potty trained child, you know? So my mom is like, you know, what is wrong with you? You know, and I couldn't tell her, you know, and I might have told her. Knowing me back then, I probably did tell her. But I was just so scared to get out of bed. And that's what the whole thing was. It was dark in my room. It was dark under the bed. I didn't have a nightlight back then. The hallway was dark. The bathroom light was off. Everything was just straight dark. So I would have to walk through Boogeyman Central to get to the bathroom. So I was terrified. So that was the legend of the boogeyman. So the boogeyman, like I said, it could take any form of hag or ghost or ghoul or whatever the case is. And if you're bad, this thing will do something horrible to you. And from what I understand, from people that I've talked to in the comment section, from Europe, people have told me, I think one person might have been from Poland, one person was from Mexico, and people were just telling me different types of legends that go along, like the case I said last week about the Wailing Woman. So it's all of these different stories, and it really makes me wonder, like, because different cultures have different versions of the same story, it makes me wonder, where did this come from? Because I wasn't able to find where did this start. Because whenever different cultures have different versions of the same story, I start to think maybe there was some truth to it. Like, for example, dragons. Different cultures have different myths about dragons. And these cultures are not always cultures that know each other. So how would you and I, that don't know each other, make up the same myth? Maybe a little variation, because sometimes the dragon has 3 toes, sometimes he has 2, sometimes he has 5, sometimes they live in caves. They have different variations to them, but you all came up independently with similar ideas. So it makes me wonder, do these legends have an origin? You know, like for instance with the dragons, was it maybe a dinosaur? Maybe they saw flying dinosaurs. Maybe they weren't all extinct like we thought they are. You know, we don't know everything about archaeology. We know what we dig up. So maybe they were experiencing something very real that we call a dragon that could have just been simply some type of dinosaur, some kind of flying, you know, lizard, you know? Same thing with the case with the boogeyman. Was there some weird energy that used to go around stealing kids when they were bad, you know? And maybe all the different cultures came up with different versions of it. So it does make me wonder. I'm still going to research it because some of you guys asked me to tell your boogeyman stories. So I'm going to get more information. Next time I talk to you, I'm going to tell you about a boogeyman from a different part of the world. You know, so I've come up with like quite a few, maybe one from Europe next time. And I'm still going to keep looking. So if anybody knows the origin, like where did this originate? I've seen it in different cultures, different time periods. But if anybody knows, like, does this go back to like, you know, 99 BC, you know, when some being, you know, was out there? I know some people say Lilith, because Lilith comes from the one of the older traditions, and Lilith was said to be the first wife of Adam. And according to the legend, Adam's first wife was Lilith, and she refused to be submissive to him. Interesting. So she left. She must have been Aquarius, because she just left him. She was like, I'm not being submissive to him, I'm out. And Lilith just left. And then God was like, okay, well, let me make another woman. And that's how he got Eve. But Lilith was supposed to have left, and in some legends, Lilith would steal babies. She would eat them. If a child was bad, in some cases, she would just do it for fun. So Lilith is said to be one of these boogeyman type, characters. So I'm wondering, was she the first? And from this tradition, people just developed their own version of this monster that preys on children. Because remember, infant mortality is a lot better now than it would have been in other time periods. So maybe that was how they made sense of so many kids passing over from what probably was sudden infant death syndrome. But they didn't have a name for it during those times, So maybe that's what it was. So if any of you guys know more about that, I would love to get my teeth more into that. So did your mom or dad tell you about the boogeyman? And was their story similar to my story, or did you have some more details? All right, so let's do a positive comment from Sarah. Hey, Sarah. Sarah was the name of Barnabas's little sister on Dark Shadows. Dark Shadows was a soap opera that was based on a vampire. So it was like a horror soap opera. And it came out when my mom was young. But when I was young in the 90s, they revised it. And Sarah was his little sister. She was already dead, and she would appear as a ghost trying to make him do the right thing. She was like the light to his dark, So I'll never forget Sarah. Sarah said, at Queen Osset Haru, you're such a cutie. Thank you. I swear I love Aquarians. You also remind me so much of my other Aquarius friend. All of you are so cute. Oh, that is so nice. I love Aquarians. I know Aquarians tend to fall in love with their BFF. Yes. And I don't think the problem is the feelings. Okay, because she has a BFF Aquarius, and I think there's a little bit of love going on there. And she said, I don't think the problem is the feelings. He told me before that the problem was that we live too far away from each other, different countries. So I was confused and hurt, but I think I will move on emotionally and try to remain a good friend. Yeah, I would try to maintain a friendship if at all possible, but that does make sense, because if your countries away from each other, Aquarius are open to long distance relationships sometimes, but if we want to really fall in love, somebody got to move. Somebody has got to move. So if neither one of you is open to changing your country, then I would try to be a good friend if at all possible. Because one of the things you might find, Sarah, is it might be painful. It might be painful to try to be just friends with somebody that you have strong feelings for. So you might be able to do it because you value the friendship and you want to do it. But if it's too painful for you, you're going to have to let it go. You're going to have to just be like, I love you too much. I have to back off. And you might just need some space for a little while. You might not have to go forever, but just know that that's normal to happen in these types of situations. Okay? Jeremiah Jones. I like that name. JJ. Okay. I just want to know why I am assuming, so strongly that the girl who I'm with is doing something. So by something, I'm taking it that he means infidelity. So why do you assume she's cheating? There's generally two answers for this. Number one, you're right and she's a cheating ass. Because if your intuition is strong, it's going to tip you off before you even have evidence. And that's the problem for a lot of people. A lot of people know that their significant other is messing around, but they really can't prove it. They just feel it. And in our culture, our dreams or intuitions are always dismissed as being frivolous. So if you say you cheating and I feel it, then you're crazy, you know? But that person 9 times out of 10 could be cheating. Now, the other possibility, the other 50% of that could be that you are tripping. You tripping, okay? And the child not doing nothing, and you paranoid or insecure or something else, you know, and nothing's really going on. And it's up to you to soul search and figure out which one is right. Is she a cheating ass or are you acting crazy? Okay? And whatever the answer is, it's cool. Just rock out with it. If she's cheating and you know, it's kind of hard to find out if somebody's cheating because you can't just say, hey, are you cheating? Sometimes you can and they'll tell you, and sometimes you can't. But if I were you, I would do everything I had to do from asking. I would find out for sure what is the deal, you know, and take it from there. And if you're just insecure and paranoid, you need to work that out by maybe seeing a therapist or doing some self-help work or something like that. Figure out what's making you paranoid and insecure and work on that. Because if you keep being paranoid and insecure and she's not cheating, that could be something that could cause a rift in your relationship. If my significant other kept accusing me of cheating and I wasn't even doing nothing, after a while, I'm not going to want to be with them. I'm not going to want to keep hearing it. I'm going to just be like, look, especially if I'm not doing anything, you know? So it's up to you to find out which one is true, Jeremiah. Okay? All right, guys, it is time for us to get going. So please come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.